Today, we're going to talk about a project that is just, well, incredibly ambitious. We're looking at building a world-class, state-of-the-art yacht marina in Palau, an island nation that is famous for its stunning, completely untouched natural beauty. It's this amazing vision of modern luxury crashing right into a pristine, protected paradise. So let's just jump right into the core of it, because this right here, this is the million-dollar question. It's a massive puzzle. On one hand, you want to bring in all this new tourism, new infrastructure, but on the other, you have an absolute duty to protect one of the most fragile, world-renowned ecosystems on the planet. So the real question is, how do you do both? How do you build something new without destroying the very paradise you're trying to showcase? The whole project really kicks off with this big idea, this vision of partnership. They're calling it a win-win cooperation. And what that means in the real world, well, it's pretty fascinating. And this slide just paints the perfect picture of that partnership. On the left, you've got this gorgeous natural harbor in Palau, and on the right, you see a sleek, modern marina in Taiwan. The entire idea is to get these two island nations to work together, to carefully bring all those modern features you see on the right to the absolutely stunning location you see on the left. Okay, so what are we actually talking about in terms of size? Well, it's a medium-sized tourist marina. We're looking at about 50 berths, something like 400 meters of quay space. And it's designed to handle everything from small 8-meter yachts all the way up to those huge 50-meter super yachts. But the location, that's the really clever part. By putting it in a natural inner bay, they're trying to dodge the enormous cost and the huge environmental headache of building massive artificial breakwaters out in the open sea. It's really the first clue to how they plan on solving this whole thing. But even with a smart location, building in paradise is, well, it's not simple. It comes with its own unique set of problems, what the project planners have started calling the Palau puzzle. Basically, a whole series of hidden challenges that pop up when you try to build something in a place this remote. Challenge number 1, logistics. Just try to imagine building something big when you can't just run down to the hardware store for supplies. In Palau, pretty much everything, we're talking cement, rebar, the specialized floating docks, all of it has to be imported. Now, add on top of that really unstable shipping schedules and the insane expense of just getting heavy equipment there, and all of a sudden your budget and your timeline can completely spiral out of control before you've even broken ground. Okay, so the next piece of the puzzle is people. Palau has a small population, which means you just don't have a big local workforce ready for a project this size. The construction industry there already depends pretty heavily on foreign labor. So for this project, that means you have to budget for visas, for housing, for managing a whole international team, which just adds another layer of cost and complexity to everything. And now we get to the big one, the most critical challenge, the environment. Palau is world famous for its coral reefs, and protecting them is completely non-negotiable. The country's Environmental Quality Protection Board has an incredibly strict review process. Any construction that gets anywhere near those reefs requires really expensive specialized techniques. We're talking about low disturbance methods to keep noise and vibration to a minimum, and using things like turbidity curtains, which are basically like giant underwater silt fences, to stop any dirt or sediment from clouding up the water and choking out the coral. And finally, you have this simple stuff we totally take for granted, right? Power and water. A modern marina needs a ton of both, but Palau's power grid can be, well, let's just say it's unstable. So this means the project might have to be totally self-sufficient. They might have to build their own generators, maybe even their own desalination systems to make fresh water, which, as you can imagine, adds a huge chunk to the final cost. So with these 4 massive challenges, logistics, labor, environment, utilities, how on earth do you solve the Palau puzzle? Well, the answer meant they had to think way, way outside the box. And as the subtitle here hints, maybe even outside the country itself. And right here, this one sentence, this is the entire solution. Don't build it in Palau. Build it for Palau. This is a total game changer. It's a radical shift in thinking. Instead of trying to wrestle with all those logistical, labor, and environmental nightmares on the island, the plan is to just make them irrelevant by building the heart of the project somewhere else entirely. And this is what that solution looks like in the real world. The core of the marina, the docks themselves, the frameworks, it's all modular and prefabricated. These pieces aren't being built from scratch in Palau. Nope, they are engineered and constructed in factories thousands of miles away, designed to be put together on site like a giant high-tech Lego set. And here's the genius of how that low-impact process works. Step 1 is factory pre-assembly. Everything is built in a controlled factory setting, maybe in Taiwan or Australia. This completely solves the material and labor shortages in Palau right off the bat. Then, step 2, on-site installation. The finished pieces are just shipped directly to the island for a quick, clean assembly. This cuts down on-site construction time and disruption like you wouldn't believe. And finally, step 3, eco-friendly materials. Using recyclable components like marine-grade aluminum helps them meet those super strict environmental standards. Of course, an innovative solution like this, it doesn't exactly come cheap. So let's talk about that nearly $60 million price tag and really break down where that money is going. So the total estimated cost for this project comes in at just shy of $60 million US. Now that's a huge number, but what does it actually pay for? Where does all that money go? This chart right here, this is really telling. Just look at the biggest slice of that pie. 35% for soft costs and logistics. That is the cost of solving the Palau puzzle. That's the international shipping, the complex engineering, the environmental studies. The actual physical marina itself, that's only 28%. This shows you that more money is being spent on the strategy of how to build this thing remotely than on the actual structure itself. And that 21% contingency fund, that's just a smart insurance policy, a necessary cushion for all the inevitable surprises that are going to pop up on a project this ambitious. So, when you put it all together, this project really becomes more than just a marina. It starts to raise a much bigger question about how we build for the future, and whether this could be a whole new model for sustainable development. And here you can really see that contrast between today and tomorrow. On the left, you've got the current coastline. On the right, you have the vision, a rendering inspired by a similar project planned in Taiwan. It's a picture of transformation, one that aims to create a world-class destination while hopefully respecting the amazing environment it's being built in. So, the whole takeaway, the big idea is this. The project's philosophy is all about preventive design. It's about thinking ahead, anticipating every single one of those challenges, logistical, environmental, labor, and designing the entire process to stop those problems from ever even happening on site. It's about being proactive, not reactive.
And that brings us to the final and maybe most important question. The Palau project shows that it might be possible to build for a fragile environment, not just in it. So could this model, this build it elsewhere, high-tech, low-impact construction, could this be the blueprint we've been looking for? A way to bring modern infrastructure to the world's most precious and remote corners without sacrificing the very beauty that draws us to them in the first place.